We're live.
All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Anarchist Guide to the Universe. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the ULA Bigelow um, partnership. We're going to be talking about SpaceX and Beam. We're also going to be discussing the Kepler K2 emergency shutdown that happened for a couple of days. And as always, joining me, Carolina Garza. Hi.
Hey.
Um, Jerome,
Hi.
Kurt,
Hello.
and me, Rochelle. We're going to start with Kurt tonight, who is going to be talking about the ULA Bigelow partnership. It's actually some exciting news with Leo, and I'll let Kurt explain everything.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Rochelle. On Monday, I believe it was, Tori Bruno and Robert Bigelow, heads of the respective organizations of United Launch Alliance and Bigelow Aerospace, announced a joint partnership to provide launch and habitation services completely via the private sector. So United Launch Alliance would be utilizing their Atlas 552 vehicle. So it would have five solid rocket boosters, a 5-meter fairing, and a 2-engine Centaur upper stage to get the Bigelow Aerospace 330 module to low Earth orbit. One of the things that was discussed, and let me see if I can pull up this picture, because we are super professional here and we do have awesome graphics. This is there we go. So this is a, I know, thank you, Jerome.
You're
He
welcome.
did my work for me. So what you see here are two BA330 modules with the Starliner to the right, and that looks like Cargo Dragon to the left, so this must be a relatively old picture, or it's not carrying crew. With the, looks like a propulsion module and power and such. But what it looks like they're doing is they would like to partner with NASA or with some other private entities to provide habitation and science modules in low Earth orbit. Robert Bigelow had even discussed doing a Disney hotel type thing. That was one of the things that was mentioned. One of the reporters at the event had asked whether the 330 module would be attached to the International Space Station. And of course, something like that would require the cooperation of not only NASA but the other member organizations as well. But yeah, this was a pretty big deal because something that Carolina is going to talk about in a minute, the beam module that was flown up on the recent SpaceX flight is a direct relative to this, and it'll be a precursor to these sorts of modules that could be coming in the future. So that is the ULA Bigelow announcement in a nutshell, which if you had been following Rochelle and myself, we were live tweeting the event, and it was we were curious ahead of time what may be discussed because me and Rochelle and Jerome and a few other people had kind of been bouncing around what they may be discussing, but it came out to be a completely private venture between two commercial organizations providing launch and habitation services in low Earth orbit. So that was kind of interesting. Now, one of the other things I'm going to discuss that was an event I was at almost a couple of weeks ago out when I was in Colorado. I was invited by Ball Aerospace to take part in a green propellant event that they were hosting at their Boulder, Colorado location. So the green propellant is very interesting. So historically, I guess for the past 50 years or so, spacecraft have used hydrazine as their maneuvering fuel. Hydrazine, though functional, is extremely toxic, extremely volatile, difficult to work with. You have to have hazardous protection suits, and it takes quite a bit of power to keep chilled. And and if you remember when the shuttle would come in for a landing, they would have to sit there on the runway for a while. Big fans would be brought out to blow fumes away, and they would have to make sure there were no hydrazine leaks prior to the astronauts exiting the shuttle. Well, this new green propellant that was developed by the Air Force Research Laboratory, I believe back in the 90s, is much, much safer to use, can be handled in basically lab coat type wear, so safety goggles and a lab coat, and that's it. It can be, it has the same performance, well, actually twice the performance per unit volume, so you could have half the volume of fuel and get the same performance as you would from hydrazine. It requires far less power to maintain, so that's less mass on the vehicle. And it is going to be going up on a flight next year. I believe it will be co-manifested on a Falcon Heavy, maybe the second or third Falcon Heavy, maybe the second payload carrying Falcon Heavy after the demonstration flight. It will be a secondary payload, and it will stay on operation for 13 months, validating the performance characteristics. This was an extremely interesting event. I'm going to pop up some pictures here. Bear with me for a moment while I go through my list here. So,
yay, pictures!
Yeah, pictures. So this is Congressman Perlmutter, who, if you follow U.S. spaceflight at all, have watched any of the NASA congressional hearings, he is a big proponent of U.S. spaceflight, and in particular our journey to Mars. So he was there, being a big cheerleader for this program, for the Green Propulsion event. We've got, let's see what else. I'll bring up this is a scale model of the satellite. So this is a 1/2 scale model looking from the side, so you can see in the center part of the screen here, this is the fuel tank, and then you have your primary thrusters and your I guess attitude control thrusters here in the back. And this I actually got to see the satellite itself. They let me go into the to the satellite room, so the actual article that we'll be flying. And do I have this picture? Oh, I didn't put it on here because I look terrible. I'll just show you the satellite. So here is the actual satellite. It's already ready to go. If you look at the top, you can see the thrusters are capped off, and those are the actual solar panels there. And this is ready to go to space. So it's going to be put in storage. It will be, it's going through a hydrogen purge at the moment. You can see the line there at the side to keep moisture out of it. So it will go into storage until it's ready to take flight on the Falcon Heavy sometime next year. So that should be a very interesting flight. They'll put it through its paces. And this was a multi-center effort. So it was, Goddard, Glenn. It's being managed by Marshall Space Flight Center. It's really been a multi-agency, multi-center effort. And this is the first of its kind that's being managed out of Marshall Space Flight Center for these types of programs. So this was pretty cool. So pay attention to this. This could have huge implications on the future of not only satellites, but on manned spaceflight too. Because though I didn't get to ask the question, the assumption is that this will be available to manned spaceflight, manned spacecraft as well. So. There you go. That's my two items for the moment. So I would pass it back to Rochelle, but I think she is off camera at the moment. So Jerome,
can I ask? I want to ask some questions.
Oh no, gosh! I'm supposed to be
Yeah,
prepared
let's
for
ask questions.
That doesn't sound right.
Question number one. So what did you think the announcement would be about ULA and Bigelow? Did you think it was something different than what it was, or?
No, actually, it turned out to be exactly what I thought it was going to be. But some other people that we'd spoken with thought that it may be talking about fuel depots, or I guess that was probably one of the bigger pieces of conjecture. But no, it turned out to be exactly what I thought it was going to be, which was a joint venture between the two for providing the launcher and the habitation module.
Right. So what I found interesting about it was that a lot of the attention that's been going on with this recent launch of Dragon with the beam module that's in the trunk of it. There's obviously been a lot of discussion surrounding Bigelow because of that payload. For their announcement, they went on to talk about their much larger units called the B330s, which I believe is 330 cubic meters, I think.
I believe they've got a 12,000 cubic meter capacity. I had that up earlier, but I lost it. Let's go ahead, Jerome. Keep talking.
So the picture that you had up there of the two 330s that had the Starliner on the one side and then the Dragon on the other, what I believe Bigelow was talking about is that they want to have two of those, like you saw in the picture, up by 2020. Is that what you understood?
Correct. Yeah, they mentioned that they could have one of them would be almost definitely ready by 2019, but both ready by 2020.
Mm-hmm. And it looked like they were going to produce those in their North Las Vegas building that he referred to at the beginning of the presentation. What I found interesting from a ULA standpoint was that Tory Bruno seemed very interested in the whole idea. I mean, he was definitely very enthusiastic about the concept. And one of the things that he talked about a lot was the Centaur engines. Is that correct, about them being able to restart and travel for long periods of time, and then rest for long periods of time, and then also being refueled even in space? So
well, that's going to be part of the ACES system that ULA is developing for the Vulcan rocket. So
okay.
The RL-10 engines, which one of our good friends Ian works on. So Ian, if you're watching, thank you, and we will get you on a show soon. Rochelle and I were talking about that earlier, about getting you scheduled for one of our upcoming shows. The
Yes.
RL-10, and yeah, very cool engine. We talked about it during the OA6 launch, I believe. Yeah, it's a very robust, very light engine, and was able to make up for the performance shortfall of the RD-180 fueling issue, the fuel flow issue that happened on this last flight on the Atlas V. So yeah, they'll need a two-engine version of the Centaur upper stage to carry this the heavy payload up. But that's also going to be developed on for use with the Starliner as well, because it's going to require a two-engine Centaur upper stage.
I see. I see.
So speaking of ULA and Bigelow, did you guys read on the Bigelow website, Bigelow, I think it's bigelowaerospace.com/beam, what the quote is right after their graphics by the NASA administrator about private enterprise? Here, I'll read it to you guys. Hold on one second. Because it's great you guys are talking about it. If I can get to my... Okay, so Charles Bolden, the NASA administrator, said the world of low Earth orbit belongs to industry. You need to understand where we're going. A Bigelow module may be the next thing that begins to replace some of the functions of the International Space Station. Low Earth orbit infrastructures belong to industry. If we don't have a viable, vibrant low Earth orbit infrastructure supported by them, in quotes, commercial industry, we're not getting there, in quotes, Mars. So that was said by Charles Bolden.
Right.
Bolden.
Yep. Makes perfect sense. I mean, the BA330, and then one of their larger ones that's a conceptual model at the moment is Olympus, I believe. And that's really impressive. I think, Jerome, you and I were talking about that the other day, where they have a version on the drawing boards that acts almost as a spacecraft carrier, where maintenance can be performed while they're on orbit or in transit.
Yeah, the Olympus looked like it was ginormous. I mean, it had a couple of those vehicles that you just mentioned inside, the Dragon as an example, and it was just huge. But we've got a long way to go. I mean, they're going to expand the beam, I think on Saturday, in fact, and
Saturday morning.
We have to see how that goes first before we all get excited. But the 330s, even the 330s look very impressive, and I just keep thinking of poor Scott Kelly, just wondering, oh, now you're sending up the big modules.
Yeah, but they're not going to. The astronauts aren't going to go inside except to retrieve data from time to time. I think to probably send back down on a Dragon or Soyuz, because those are really the only two that can have any downmass capabilities at the moment.
But I think everybody is really convinced that this seems to be the way to go. I mean, the only way that you can get large things up there is to compress them, launch them, and then expand them once they're up in space. And so the whole concept is very interesting. I mean, clearly you can see Toy Bruno's very excited about it. SpaceX obviously carried up Beam to prove the technology and to make sure that it works. And I just think that everybody's kind of bought into the fact that this is kind of de facto how we're going to do it moving forward. It'll be very interesting to see how the ISS changes over time now with this ability, because I'm going to assume that this is going to work. And certainly Robert Bigelow is very excited with the prospect of all of this. So yeah, it's some incredible graphics that we've seen of those units, and it'll be very exciting to see people up on the ISS when they actually are able to go into the larger modules and see just the vast size difference. I think it'll be very interesting for them, and it'll be fun to watch how they behave inside that environment. I'm just really looking forward to it.
And one of the cool things about this, we often hear people talk about how private industry needs to lead the way and government needs to take a step back. And to be fair, I am kind of a small government person, but sometimes you need somebody like NASA to step up and do things that aren't necessarily profitable in the short term, which is about the only way that most companies will do things anymore, with short-term returns on their investments. Unless you have somebody like Elon Musk, who says with SpaceX, if he turned it over to investors or something like that, that Mars would never happen for them because they won't realize their return. But you look at NASA, who developed the expandable type habitat, a few decades ago. I don't believe it was cost effective at the time, even though it was feasible and worked better than rigid structures. It was not cost effective at that point.
In fact, we saw Robert Bigelow jump on board with trying to explain to everyone how he sees it working. I mean, he used the whole bank example where somebody basically leases the bottom floor of the building, so to speak, and puts their name on it, or somebody else puts their name on it. He also, I believe, mentioned people advertising on the unit itself. So, I mean, he's really looking at where he gets the revenue. He mentioned the Disney reference of having a Disney module that people maybe could go vacation at eventually. That's obviously not going to happen in the next 5 years.
Right,
but
right.
That whole concept really, I think, resonates with people who kind of imagine, well, how is this going to work? But if you can think about a whole separate Bigelow structure, separate from the ISS, that's strictly commercialized, you can see, I think it would be very possible to imagine that it would be a revenue stream that would be able to support it. And as I've heard from other people, we can't keep the ISS going at $2 billion a year. It would be better to have it, a different revenue stream that maybe helps supplement any sort of government funds that go towards that. I'm also curious to see what Russia thinks about all of this, because hooking up even Beam to the ISS, I mean, it technically puts Russian modules at risk, quote unquote. So I'm surprised we haven't heard more from them, or if they have any input, or maybe they're just as excited about the concept as we are. I don't know. But again, that's one of those things where we don't hear a whole lot from the Russian side.
I'm curious, Jerome, how does it put the Russian modules, how's that an issue?
Well, because my understanding is that once they expand the beam, they then have to allow it to become pressurized with the ISS, and I don't believe they're going to have doors or anything to protect the ISS from this unit. I mean, they're going to wait to see what happens once it's expanded and it gets pressurized, but to some extent it does expose the rest of the ISS to whatever might happen with
I believe they're keeping the pressure door closed, and will only open it when they retrieve the data modules necessary.
I see. So is there going to be then a second door that must be kind of like a vestibule where you've got multiple doors that sort of close and then they open up the indoor door? You know what I'm talking about? So
I would assume. Yeah, I would assume it's something like that.
I would assume that it's going to be
just for protection purposes, like you're talking about.
That would make sense. I mean, I would assume that that's what's going to happen. I haven't read anything about it, so I guess I'm pretty naive about how this is going to be executed. But I mean, intuitively, that seems like that would be the smart thing to do. But if it's going to be up there for 2 years, you just can't help but wonder if eventually they're going to start to trust it and then open it up and see what happens. And I'm going to assume everything's going to be fine. But it is interesting to see how that whole concept will be treated. Because I believe, for instance, all of the ships that are up there on ISS, those hatches remain open, I thought, once they are established and connected to the modules on the ISS. Is that not correct?
I don't know. Good question.
I think it is. I mean, I believe that they are, but maybe they're not. Maybe they close them
Well,
up as well.
I would
So,
think for fast evacuation procedures, they would need to keep at least the Soyuz capsules open.
right. So the Soyuz is Soyuz. The Soyuz have been proven over time. So where's my Russian lady? Give me something. Give me
We
something.
need Carolina. Come on.
So I've got a question from one of our Twitter followers,
Oh,
Life
really
Chester.
quick.
Yes.
My Twitter. The reason why I haven't responded to anybody, my Twitter's down. I can't.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I can't refresh. I can't respond to anybody's DMs. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
It's not going down the DM?
No.
Oh my goodness.
I went and got my tablet. It's still not working. I don't know what's going on. So I'm sorry, everybody. I can't respond to anything. I can't. It won't refresh. It won't do. And I've even restarted.
Technology. It's a bummer sometimes.
All right, viewers, if you guys want to send it to me in the meantime, feel free. I changed it from a little snarky saying, self-deprecating saying from earlier. So yeah, I did have a question from one of our loyal Twitter followers and viewers, Life Chester. He asked, has beam been proven through Earth testing that it can self-seal, or does that have to be done manually in case of a critical hit? Now, Carolina, I know you'll be talking about beam a little bit later. Would you like me to save that for you to have you take care of that? Is that one that you'd like to address, or do you want me to take care of it?
If you know the answer, yeah, go for it. I actually didn't know how.
I've researched this. They're actually putting in the hip fanny packs on each astronaut a bicycle inner tube repair
And
thing.
duct tape.
So, in duct tape, but you got to have the duct tape, and then they would rush into the beam and patch it as soon as they possibly can. So one of the instruments that they're putting in the beam, again, we keep saying that we're going to talk about beam later, and then we talk about beam. They're going to have.
I know we should just talk about it now.
They're going to have a meteor impact type device that's looking for any sort of impacts that the unit is exposed to, and that have temperature and other things that are monitoring the health of it. But yeah, honestly, I don't know what is going to happen if something were to happen to it. I doubt that they would put anybody sort of at risk to go and repair it unless they had an EVA. That's my personal.
Well, here's what I've read about it. So to answer Life Chester's question, the multiple layers of ballistic fabric, and they have the different layers of sealant in there, are far more robust than the rigid sides of the ISS modules that are currently in existence. So it's able to much better withstand any sort of strike. Think of it in terms like a bulletproof vest or a bullet-resistant vest that our police officers or military wear, rather than it being just a steel plate, which stuff can punch through very easily. It's multiple layers of fabrics that are able to distribute and disperse the energy, so it's far better equipped to handle an impact than the current modules.
And that's why I feel like I didn't read too much about repairing and whatnot, because they know kind of how durable the structure is. But that's part of their testing too, is how much pressure, how much the type of thermodynamic impact that the actual material can take.
Right. Yeah.
As a side note, I think I remember hearing one of the astronauts talk about the fact that they would often put their ear to the side of the ISS, and you could hear the little pings that would take place periodically. Do you guys remember hearing that or reading that?
I have not, but that would be
funny,
disconcerting.
Well, it's like somebody throwing a little pebble at you, only the pebble's traveling super fast. So
I was going to say, it's more like hearing a bullet flying right past your ear, you know what I mean? Like, woo! Good thing that one missed me.
Right.
So one more thing I'm going to touch on, and then I will shut up, because I think I've talked more tonight than I probably have in any of the other shows that we've done. In the past, when Olympus was talked about as a spacecraft hangar, people were saying, well, why would you want to bring hydrazine inside of a spacecraft hangar like that and have the astronauts exposed to it? It's very dangerous. So that kind of ties in with the green propellant. So if we transition off from the hydrazine-based propellant to the new green propellant, then it becomes a far safer scenario to bring people in and bring the spacecraft in and have them cohabitate in a module without worrying of contamination. So we're seeing two disparate things that in the past one perhaps was not known about by the general public. You see now where those two things could easily work together. So that's kind of interesting.
You kind of are sounding a little bit like a hippie right now with the whole green thing and just kind of going overboard. I'm just saying, maybe
That's
back it
funny.
up a little.
I was gonna say, how green is the green propellant though? Like, can we put it in the garden? It's so green, cause like, supposedly if zinc oxide sunscreen is really zinc oxide, you can still eat it and you won't get sick. Like zinc tablets, you know, like when you're sick.
Well, what they did is they showed it. Let me see if I can find a picture, because I do have.
Because that's actually really fascinating. I mean, that whole event that you went to, the whole green propulsion.
It was very
I mean,
interesting.
that's
and
that right there can be revolutionary. I mean, it's kind of like hearing about the hybrid cars or the electronic cars when everyone was just diesel, gas, you know, like fossil fuels, let's burn them.
Yeah, no, I don't have the picture, but they had shown just a person in a lab coat holding a flask of the green propellant, and they said it is very easy to handle. No longer, they said, with hydrazine you would want to be in a different state if you had to touch it. With this, lab coat and goggles, so that's how safe it is.
Yeah, that's impressive. Impressive.
And Kurt, I don't think any of us are complaining that you get a lot of FaceTime tonight, especially over last week's where you really didn't get to talk too much at all. So
yeah, I would like to complain. Can I complain just real fast?
No, you can't. Zip it.
Zip it.
I really like your hat, by the way, Jerome. Shout out to Tesla.
Oh, I forgot I put that on.
Yeah, you gotta show that off real quick.
Wow. Did I just get ganged up on? I think I just got ganged up on.
Where's your 3D glasses?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, but where's your 3D glasses that you had on before we went live?
I was going to work them in slyly.
Before we went live.
Now you've ruined everything. Now the whole thing
you've stolen his thunder.
Yeah,
just completely ruined it, didn't I?
You did.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're not.
Sorry,
okay.
Not sorry.
I'm sorry, not sorry. Well, where are we going to go next with this conversation?
I think that we're going to go to Carolina. I think it's a good segue to talk about Beam.
Well, shouldn't we talk about maybe how Beam got up there first, and then we can talk about Beam more?
Yeah, someone talk about Dragon, SpaceX's SpaceX.
Does that make sense to everybody? I think that's what we should do. We should talk about the whole launch because recently they put a rocket up and maybe landed it, and then Dragon made it. Dragon birthed, and we're waiting for Saturday to actually deliver the cargo that's in the trunk. Uh-oh, something's vibrating.
Yeah, it's just my phone. But yeah, I mean the landing wasn't exciting or anything. It was just on a drone ship, a non-manned ship over an ocean. So that's not exciting or anything.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's gotten a little bit of play in the media. So back on April 8th, they launched the Falcon 9, which was a version 1.2, which is the higher powered unit that's flown 3 times, as Hans pointed out. So it's not like it was a brand new version of the Falcon 9, but it was the first time that they've flown a Dragon capsule on top of that version of Falcon 9. And then about 9 minutes later after it launched, the first stage turned around, did a little boost back, and landed at sea on the barge, and certainly that got a lot of play. Everybody was really excited about that. And it landed successfully, and we all watched it sort of float around there out in those big seas, although Elon Musk said that the seas weren't actually that bad. There was 50-mile-an-hour winds when it was descending and trying to land, which is why it came in at such an angle as it did. But once it set down, it looked pretty solid. People said that it might have bounced. I certainly saw it slide, but
I saw a bounce and a slide.
I think you're just so
Oh, you're
wrong.
so No, you are so wrong. It was trying to. It was trying
Can we
to
get
do
the
it.
replay?
Yes.
Can we get the
It
replay,
was-
please?
It
Can we get the
was-
replay, please?
It was
Let-
trying to do a '90s kid and play dance. That's how much it bounced and slid.
I mean, can you just imagine how much weight was going on, and then the deck of the. Okay, no dancing. But just. Oh, there's a snort.
Oh, no, we got snort.
We got snort.
We got
So,
snort.
and
Oh, boy.
what everybody was comparing it to was landing on the deck of a aircraft carrier, right? So Scott Kelly said that it's not easy to do, and Elon was saying it's definitely like landing down on a moving ship, aircraft carrier landing.
No, that was not. I don't think that's the problem. So I'm gonna pull up the video here, or I took a little. If any of our AstroAnarchy team may have looked at the website. So
Look at that.
yeah, see, I grabbed this from the SpaceX feed, so you can
Nice.
see as it comes down clearly as it goes into probably a zero descent, no up or down movement. It starts getting wind loading on the side, and you see it kind of drift over to the left of the screen. So, and then once it hit the deck, it did take a little bit of a bounce. So,
It
Yes,
did
I
take a bounce.
I
It did.
personally think it looks like it's doing the Tom Cruise underwear sock slide. Maybe that's what it's like. Oh, hey, look at me, check me out.
oh, so you're saying I should have put some sunglasses on it?
This
Yeah,
is
a little
not
risky
about you.
business right there.
This is
Yeah.
not about
Oh,
you.
that
It's
would have been
about the rocket.
perfect.
I'll remember that for next time.
So then Dragon continued up towards the ISS, and it took a couple days to get there. And then they birthed it, I believe it was Sunday morning. Is that correct? It was April 10th. And they grabbed it, and now we're waiting for Saturday to actually get the beam out, which is the Bigelow extended activity module. And
Exactly.
there's one of the Tims they were unloading. They've been unloading like crazy because I guess within 4 weeks they had the 4 different cargo vessels. Well, I guess one was a Soyuz, then there was the Cygnus, then there was a, what's the P word that the Russians use for the Progress, right?
Progress.
They use the Progress, and then the Dragon. So now they've got all of this cargo, and they've got all of the science modules and things that they're getting out. Plus, I'm sure they're going to have to then eventually load all of the return things that they stick in Dragon to send back down that are science-based. I'm sure Scott Kelly's got a lot of blood and urine to put in there. And I'm sure they'll put trash in the Cygnus and send that away before they catch it on fire. It's going to be a huge fireball. I don't care what Gene says. So, I'm just joking.
It's not going to be a huge fireball. Don't tell people that.
You don't know. It's not going to be a huge fireball till it comes
Thank
through
you.
the atmosphere. And
The night sky will be all of a sudden brighter than usual.
but here's something that I think a lot of people didn't recognize. So everybody was saying, yeah, we're going to put Dragon up with the beam, and then we're going to bring the first stage back and land it. But I don't think many people realized that they had a secondary payload, which included 16 flock CubeSats that they then launched. So I thought that was kind of interesting because I wasn't aware of it. And that's Planet Labs had those units on there, and apparently those were inserted where they needed to go, I believe. So that was kind of an interesting sort of, did anybody know that that was happening sort of thing. So I can talk about more of the science if you guys want, or we can, if there's something I forgot about that whole launch thing. I mean, I was personally excited to see Elon and Hans sort of, kind of excited like little kids a little bit, because they kind of came on a little bit kind of composed, and it was just nice to see them sort of loosen up and show their excitement, because I know that they were.
Are you fangirling right now?
I totally just did.
Hashtag!
Did you just hashtag your finger? You did. Oh my god.
God.
So much fangirl.
If I could, I would
Fangirling
so,
all over the place.
So much
okay.
fangirl.
Who was talking to Tori Bruno right before we came on? I'm just saying. Okay, so
Fangirl.
boom. Oh, wait a minute.
What's that
Oh
sound?
my
The
God.
sound of fangirling.
That was pretty good.
I hate you so much right now.
I know you do. I know you do. So there was, there was just all that was going on. And one of the other interesting things that occurred was that the rocket did blast off on time, right? Because a lot of people have worried
That's a
that SpaceX has
first.
struggled, and they had the colder propellant that they had to manage there. And apparently, Hans is saying that they feel like they got a handle on that pretty well, and so that's kind of good news. What else is going on? I can't think of anything else. I'm sure
My,
there's
tw-
something
Why
else.
don't?
my Twitter's back up.
Oh,
Yay!
yay!
Nobody was tweeting to me anyway, so it doesn't matter.
So, guys, my Twitter's back up. Ask us questions at #AstroAnarchy.
I've got a question for
Not,
Jerome.
not #fangirl.
Wait a minute. You have to wait because
Wrong
Rochelle's trying to
hashtag.
No,
steal
it's
the
it's
whole-
hashtag fangirl Jerome.
Ouch.
All right, so I have a question for you. So why would it be that for this particular mission, why did they land the stage on a drone ship when one of the previous Kennedy launches they landed it back at Kennedy Space Center?
That's a question that you know the answer to, but I'm going to pretend like
Yes,
you
I
don't. And
know.
I'm going to
I
say,
know the answer.
I'm going to go like, Kurt, this is what Elon explained, and this is my understanding of what's going on. So they did land
It's
successfully.
called prompting. So
It was
do it.
beautiful. Okay. So, yes, what Kurt's referring to is that they did land a first stage back on land, and that was very exciting. But what Elon was trying to prove to everybody is that they needed to land on the ocean on one of the, I won't say barge, ASDS, and by doing that, it would be sort of a way to prove and refine their process that they could land on a moving platform that's the size of a postage stamp as it was descending. Because for the higher orbit and heavier payloads, they get a lot further away and they wouldn't have enough fuel to get back to land. And so this is just a way to sort of accommodate those future payloads that are not going to afford them the luxury of going back to land. So in fact, they're going to be landing on the drone ship 2 more times, is my understanding, possibly 3, and then eventually they'll start coming back to land when they can. Apparently the ISS is not, quote, that challenging. They extended the length of the 1.2 Falcon, so that's also part of being able to maintain enough fuel to get back. But as Elon mentioned, it was that they had a much bigger margin by trying to land the rocket at sea, or they could have come back to land and had a much littler margin. And so there was just a lot of benefit to trying to perfect the whole drone ship landing. And they're going to keep doing it until they really feel like they've got it down, since we've seen a lot of rockets hit barges and blow up. Or drone ships, sorry, Elon. Because they got 4 engines and they all move 360. So yeah, it's a really good question. A lot of people don't understand that when the rockets are taking payload up, they go horizontal and go horizontal really, really fast, and it's not just a straight up trajectory. So as Elon says, it's got to stop, zero out its velocity, turn around, come back, and it takes a lot of fuel to do that. So it's a pretty difficult task, and that's why everybody's sort of paying attention to it, because it's a big deal. It's a big deal. But that's a good question. It's a good question.
Oh yeah, people at my work even asked me about it. They're like, "Oh, so what's up with that launch on the ship? It was a drone ship." And I was like, "I know, that's crazy, right?" And they're like, "What is that?"
That had to have made you feel good, though, that people at work were coming to you.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. It was great.
One of the things, too, that they had to do is they had to quickly put the shoes on the legs of the rocket and then weld those shoes to the deck of the ship. And apparently the ship was moving much slower than they thought it was going to move. Now, whether or not they were doing it on purpose so that it wouldn't move quickly to help sort of accommodate any large swells that were going on, I don't know. But it was moving very, very slowly. I think I read 3.2 knots or something like that. Maybe Kurt knows the details. But it just took the ship about a day and a half longer to get in than they thought it was going to. A lot of fun to see the videos of the ship coming in with the huge rocket on there. And you don't really appreciate the size until you see the little guys running around at the legs, and then you go, wow, that's pretty big. So if anybody wants to see that video, maybe, Kurt, we can put it up in the description later, the link to the video that shows the ship coming in. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Now, I do have a question for you, and this I don't know the answer to, so hopefully you do. So I know that Elon's goal is not to refurbish and fly, it's to reuse and fly, with minimal refurbishment, maybe cleaning. Are there any givens that we know will be replaced? Like, are the landing legs going to be simply inspected before reflying, or are they going to be replaced? Are there like crumple zones, honeycomb things that are supposed to absorb the impact? And are they considered disposable items, or are those reuse as well?
Yeah, won't it be interesting to see that they eventually put rubber on the bottom of the landing legs? Because he keeps making that comparison to the commercial airlines in which they land their vehicles, refuel them, and take off again. And so they don't sit there and replace engines. They don't sit there and do much large, refurbishment or replacement of parts. So I believe, my understanding is that they want to be able to fly the first stages, up to 10 times, maybe even 20 times. I think this is something they're going to really learn as they try to inspect what's happened to the rocket when it landed. So my understanding is that Elon wants it to be reusable, which means you throw fuel in it and maybe clean it up and then get it going again. But this is going to be a learning process. We know that Jeff Bezos flew his Blue Origin rocket a few times. I don't remember hearing if it had any big work done on it.
I think theirs was just inspect, refuel, and free fly.
Right. So I think that's ultimately where they're trying to go. Whether or not they're able to do it, we don't know. What Elon mentioned as well is that they're going to fire this particular rocket that just came back in. They want to ignite the engines 10 times, and once they do that, then they'll feel comfortable that the rocket can be used again. But they're going to have to clean it up. They're going to, I'm sure, inspect the legs, because there was a lot of concern from people that maybe the legs took some impact that was too big for the mount or for the legs. And I think everybody's really sensitive about the legs because of the one landing in which the leg collapsed. But Han seemed pretty confident that they address all of the known issues at this point, and they went into this flight feeling pretty confident that it was going to go well, and we're all glad that it did, I think. But they won't know until they get that thing on its side and get it back to where they can start crawling through it and see what's going on. And then we'll learn some more. I know the one that landed back on land, they had to inspect. One of the engines had an issue, and they said that they had already made some changes and flew that change on the current one that we just saw, the CRS-8 flight. So it's one of those things where it's Silicon Valley mentality, where we're going to do a lot of iterations. We're going to do it sort of on the fly. I mean, if anything, I think a lot of people look at what Elon's doing with the rockets and are astonished by how many changes they're just boldly throwing in on a flight. And it just feels like, okay, you're not going to just address one issue. You're going to address the issue, and you're going to add a couple new things because you just want to see what's going to happen. And again, it's the Silicon Valley mentality where you do a bunch of changes on the software, and then you release it, and you address any issues as you need. That's not the way that NASA does it typically. NASA's pretty cautious, so, and for good reason. But it's exciting because this is going to really drop the cost of flights, and when you do that, you get much better at it because the rockets aren't flying once a month; they're going to be flying multiple times a month. So. It's very exciting, very exciting. I think I answered your question. Did I answer your question? Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, that's what I know.
All right, thanks.
What else is going on?
Thank you.
So, go ahead and talk amongst yourselves.
I think we're going to toss it over to Kepler.
Is this coffee talk?
I'm going to be the clips. Come on now.
Welcome to the girls' room.
I want to hear a Russian accent. We still haven't heard one Russian accent. So bummed about that.
Well, I just don't have anything good to say. I don't know.
You keep laughing. That's the problem.
When you're talking about Beam is amazing. Wait, you already talked about Beam, didn't you? Or did Jerome completely cut you off? And
Ouch.
Wait, what? Oh, no, I was talking about in Russian that I didn't have anything to talk about. I still have stuff to talk about Beam, yeah.
I know.
Let's do that Beam thing. There's a lot of Beam.
Yeah.
Seriously, and hopefully Jerome will, zip it.
Expandable habitats. To me, that is like the tents in Harry Potter. You know what I mean? They just like they look like little tiny tents, but they're this ginormous like mansion inside. It's the same concept. It's gonna revolutionize space flight and space exploration. So the Bigelow Aerospace Agency. They are the ones who have designed the Beam, which is the Bigelow Expandable Activity Module, as Jerome was talking about earlier. So the expandable habitats are going to help our missions to other places in our cosmos, because the compact cargo is a lot more lightweight than sending up, for instance, walls and steel and stuff to build a rigid structure. On Earth, we have people that build our facilities, but if we're trying to go to Mars, we can't just send up a bunch of supplies and stuff that are really heavy when we, have a hard enough time sending up supplies to ISS. So the whole Bigelow expandable modules are really going to help. Our space exploration. So the lightweight cargo is basically programmed to inflate, and we attached the beam to the side. Well, we're gonna attach it on the side of. I don't know. Do you guys actually know where it gets attached on ISS? By any chance?
I do.
Yeah, I'll see if I can pull up a picture.
It's a good
Yeah.
question.
Like, is it a specific quadrant, or like, because we were talking about safety, for instance. Do they have it on like a side of ISS that's like not really accessed? People don't really go over there, type thing.
I think they put it on Harmony. Isn't that where they put it? I wrote the notes down and I can't find it right this second.
Because
I can't see because I got my 3D glasses on.
Doesn't everyone's little kind of quadrant? Don't they get their stuff kind of at their quadrant? You know what I mean? Like.
Do the Americans keep it in certain modules and then the Russians keep it in their certain modules? I believe that's accurate.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of how they manage the real estate, right? I mean, everybody's got their own responsible areas, and I believe that they all just sort of meet at the kitchen table and are able to match.
I don't really find any details about that, but there we go. That's a great picture.
That's an awesome picture. Who provided that, Kurt? That's awesome.
That's NASA. So There we go. So
thank you, NASA.
That picture's great.
Our space agency.
Awesome. So yeah,
Love
Beam
NASA.
is going to be on node 3, and I believe that was the Harmony node. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I know. It's node 3. That's what I know.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
There was pictures that were coming out as well that had the 3 different vessels that were mounted. I mean, the Dragon was right there. We saw Cygnus, and then I believe that there was a Progress ship as well. But anyway, go ahead with what you were saying.
Yeah, I think that can be seen actually on the bigelowaerospace.com/beam website. They actually have the first thing you start to scroll down is the computer animation of SpaceX Dragon being docked at ISS, and then the little robotic arm grabs Beam, and then puts it on the Harmony, docks it, and then you watch it inflate. So it's pretty exciting. And I think you can see the other crafts docked in the background, if I'm not mistaken. I can actually probably pull up what I'm talking about. You know what? Forget it. We'll just talk about Beam. Because I have too many pages open. So
you probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Do what you want. It's a free world. Go ahead and do what you want. So, do you know, Carolina, who provided the arm to the space station? Which country? It's trivia. Come on. Which country provided the arm that's going to pull?
Germany?
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
Oh. It's Canada.
It's Canada. Okay.
Canada. Yeah,
I did not know that.
I was surprised
Nice.
too. Yeah.
They had the full production and design at Canada.
I don't know how that all came about, but
they're credited with it.
They use the arm all the time on the space station. It's become a fundamentally, very useful thing on the big space station. I don't know that many people know that it's the Canada arm, so Canada arm 2. So I just was throwing that out there because they're going to use that to pull the beam out of the trunk and to mount it or berth it to the side of the node 3. So
yeah, it looks surreal, like something out of Star Wars. It's just like a whole robot doing this thing, on this giant spacecraft.
Totally, totally. Yeah, it looks like a crab. I always think of a crab eating or feeding itself. That's what.
Exactly. Yeah, with little claws. Correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't ISS have more than one robotic arm though now?
Oh, that's a good question, Kurt. I thought that there were two. I thought there was the large one that we're seeing being
Yeah,
used on beam, and then there was a
and there's a
smaller
smaller
one.
one. Hmm.
That's an excellent trivia question because honestly, I think there's two, but I couldn't swear to it right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's two, but yeah, I'm
Maybe
not
there's
exactly
more.
sure.
Yeah.
Maybe one of our viewers will tune in and be like, hey, yeah, here's some details on
People are
the
googling
second
right this moment.
arm. um, so a couple more things about the beam. Just the main mission goals are just to test pressure, test the functionality um, of the habitat itself. Like we were saying earlier, no humans, astronauts, are going to be actually living or pretending to live and function and test it like that because of cautionary details. We don't really know how things are going to react to it. So people aren't actually going to be inside them, but we will be taking data on different things for the performance of the habitat. Oh,
And
also another huge thing is UV protection tests. We don't really
that's
think
right.
about it, but the UV and the solar winds and solar radiation coming from our sun, other suns out in space we're not even thinking about when we're exploring different quadrants of the cosmos. So we want to make sure that these habitats are super durable in multiple ways.
That was one of the things I was going to mention. So, of the instruments that they're putting in the beam, radiation is one of them for sure, and that's where
Yeah.
everybody starts to talk about. If you get outside low Earth orbit, cislunar, then you start to expose the astronauts to the radiation because you're outside the magnetic field of the Earth. So, this is something that people talk about all the time. About if we were to go to Mars, first of all, people would be exposed to the radiation if they're in the ships, the Hermes of the Martian, as an example. And then once you got to Mars, you also are susceptible. And so they're talking about things like using water around the crafts to block the radiation, and then they're talking about building things underground once they're at Mars. And so radiation is probably one of the biggest deals. I mean, other than withstanding the bullet. Well, actually, bullet moves much slower than the meteors that are going to be hitting different space debris that will be hitting the beam. But certainly radiation is so key. You'll hear everybody talk about radiation first when they start to talk about why it's so challenging to try to figure out how to go someplace else other than being close to Earth. So radiation, that was a big deal. Yep, that's what I was going to say. And then you thought of it right before I was going to bring it up.
Yeah, because that was the key to me. How are we gonna test things for functionality of that? Because that's huge. I mean, that's night and day right there. That's because you can have food, you can have water, we can have habitats working, but they're not protecting us from these rays that we're done long term.
Now Ian, I just wanted to step in here. Ian, our RL10 whisperer, he sent us a message to say that the beam is going to be attached to the Tranquility module.
Oh, okay. And who made Tranquility? Does anyone know?
Do you have the answer?
If you give me
Alec,
5 seconds.
Alec tweeted it too, and I just retweeted it. There's a picture.
So is
answer?
Ian correct? Is Ian correct? Because I've not heard anybody say it's the Tranquility. So I'm
No, two people have now said it. Alec said it as well.
Wow. Okay.
Our viewers are the best. They're because you three people are West Coast. I'm East Coast, so it's 11:30, and so Alec is my time zone. We've got Life's Jester, who's either close to my time zone or just one over. So we have some dedicated people.
Okay.
We have Jason. Hi, Jason.
Right.
We often make mistakes just to keep people on toes. That's the whole point.
It keeps people paying attention. So the Italian Space Agency.
Very cool.
Oh, really? That's who made Tranquility?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Can you do
also who has made the Huygens space probe that went down on Titan? Italian Space Agency. Just fun facts, from AstroAnarchy.
Ferrari's made by Italians. That's basically what I know.
Exactly. So, great products.
I'm
Ferrari just
surprised.
speaks for itself.
I'm surprised you know any other cars or anything else besides Tesla.
I was just gonna say besides Tesla.
You know, I guess I deserve that. Miss, I don't have a lower third. Okay, so please
Ooh,
go
that's a
on,
low
Carolina.
blow.
Did you see that? Did you see what I just did? Yeah, I went there.
That's cool. That does not. I mean, come on.
Low blow.
Assistant when she's down. That is just wrong.
I know it is wrong, and I apologize.
Are we done talking about Beam? Is it my turn?
Yes, it's your turn.
Get it. Get it,
I'm
girl.
not prepared. I am not
Get it.
prepared.
Get those papers sorted out.
Okay. Okay, so I had a heart attack moment
Right?
on the 7th when Kepler / K2 went into emergency mode or EM mode, and they did not know why. Couldn't figure out what was going on. The last healthy communication was on April 4th, so I naturally started having a heart attack because Kepler had already had an issue. It had lost two of its, and I'm going to have to look at my paper here because I'm going to completely mess this up. Kurt, what is the thing called that we were talking about earlier?
The reaction wheels.
The reaction wheels, yes. Thank you. We lost the reaction wheels back in 2013, and NASA rallied. Yeah, you can see I am so not prepared right now. I am so sorry about this. They rallied the space science community to propose an alternative mission plan, and so that's how K2 came to be. And so they were able to save it, and we've had it going since 2013. So when, thank you. So when they lost communication, I'm like, no, it's not dead yet. There's no way. But it came back online a couple days later, and I was really, really happy. So we are going to continue to be able to explore new exoplanets. And for anybody who doesn't know what Kepler K2 is, it is a telescope, and you can see the diagram right there, and basically
I love this picture.
isn't that a great picture?
It really like captures like what it's doing like in our galaxy. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like it really puts us in our place, so to speak.
Yeah. So
Thanks, Jerome.
Yes. Oh, that's Jerome's.
That's awesome.
That's his new toy. That's his
Oh,
Hubble.
did you just get that?
It's a 3D printed Hubble.
It's 3D printed? What?
Printed Hubble. Everybody's stealing my thunder tonight.
What?
Rochelle, can I tell her what it is? No.
What? What is this?
But there's the Russian. I'm done. I'm out of here. That's it. We got the Russian. That's all we needed. No, Rochelle is absolutely correct. I'm going to even try to get one made up for everybody on the panel. But it is a 3D printed.
Even
part.
me?
Even you.
Sorry, I just had to mute my roar.
I'm going to go ahead and let Jerome talk. I'll finish my Kepler talk later.
I'm so sorry. I will let Rochelle continue. And what's funny is that she's not even talking about the Hubble, and I brought up the Hubble thing.
I know
was trying to steal her thunder.
That thing's awesome.
Do that to me.
Okay. Sorry.
Way to trip me up, Jerome. You're going to make my head explode. Okay, so here's a diagram of how Kepler actually works and goes around our orbit. And it is constantly pointed towards towards Lyra, the constellation Lyra, so it doesn't have any issues with the sun. It is constantly pointed away from it, and the way it works is. Do we have the diagram of how it works, Kurt?
Yeah, let me.
Okay, because I didn't bring my lamp over to do the.
This is how we do it.
Let me see if I can dig that up real quick.
This
That's not
is
in the
how we
4
do
pictures that I've got. So let me.
Sorry, that just reminded me of that.
Okay, so here's my mic. Pretend that my mic is a star. And then
That's a hot star.
that's a hot star, right? And what color is the hottest star?
Blue, white.
White. It's white.
I was thinking about flames for a second.
And the coolest star
Just like
is
people.
red. And the coolest star is red.
You can't just do that, Kurt.
Oh, you guys are. Oh my God, my segment is just completely. You guys, I'm never going last again. Never.
White.
So,
White.
Back to the white stars.
so imagine that Kepler is back here, and then the planet will move in front of its star, and the star will dim. And so that's how Kepler actually will detect a planet or an exoplanet.
That was a microwave in a mug, though, right? Just to be clear. A microphone, sorry.
Someone mute him.
I can do that.
I'm turning down your volume.
There.
So far, there are.
It literally said the anarchist guy muted Jerome. Sorry.
Oh, look, watch this. Watch. Oh!
Oh, yay! Thank you.
Now he can't interrupt you anymore, Rochelle.
Thank you. Oh.
He doesn't even exist anymore. You Harry Pottered him.
Oh,
Call me up again.
He is going to be so mad.
Tallying the snorts, yes.
How my hair is. Oh my God. Okay.
And this is how we look in 3D!
Okay, so there have been confirmed 1,041 exoplanets so far from Kepler. I keep calling it Kepler.
Has a little French, ménage à trois.
Well, did she say menage
Je ne
a
sais
trois?
quoi.
No, different show.
I meant to say je ne sais.
What the
And then,
heck?
best of both worlds.
What is happening? Kurt,
Oh my God, what is going on here? You people are killing me. Okay, so, and K2 has confirmed 39 exoplanets. There's 4,696 candidates from Kepler and 270 candidates from K2. So Kepler and K2 is the little. I give up.
I have a question, though. I
have a question.
Kepler is back in business. It's going to be discovering exoplanets still, and I'm very, very happy about that.
We all are.
Yes. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Carolina.
What's your
She's
question?
waiting. Yeah.
Okay, so I've always been curious what makes an exoplanet an exoplanet, and what makes an actual planet a planet? Why? Why all of a sudden can Pluto not be a planet? It's still a planet in all people's
Team Pluto.
lectures I've heard.
Hold on.
Every astronomer, every scientist I've ever heard, they're like, no, Pluto's still a planet.
The reason why Pluto has been downgraded to an exoplanet is because it hasn't cleared the orbit around the sun.
Oh, if you want to go there's plenty of other planets then that don't qualify.
Yeah.
So
let's not go there. Let's just make sure that
not tonight.
Alan Stern is very adamant that it's planet number 9. I think that's.
It's absolutely true. It is planet number 9.
Did you know that Alan Stern bought a Tesla? Alan Stern bought a Tesla. Okay, sorry.
Howard Stern or Alan Stern?
Alan Stern. I'm saying Alan Stern.
Should I mute Jane?
No, not again.
Jason's saying he's not sure he wants to be on the show anymore now.
Oh, come on, Jason.
Double dog dare ya.
Just sent me a picture of him in 3D glasses. Dork. You just made Jerome's night, Jason. I just thought I'd let you know that.
It doesn't take much.
And I do want to say, my brother, I think he already went to sleep. He just sent me a text message, but I want to say hi to my brother in the Air Force. I didn't get to do it in the beginning, but hi to Austin. And also I want to say hi to Alec, Ian, and Fred, all who are joining us tonight. And also want to say hi to Mark Camacho, who is on one of my favorite YouTube series called LARPs, and he's watching tonight as well. So hi, Mark. And Joe. Hi, Joe. And yeah.
Can I say hi to my mother? Because that's all I know watching.
Yeah, is she watching?
I don't have any other friends. Oh, David Blaine. I want to say hi to David Blaine. Just in case.
Did he just make your arm levitate to say that?
Oh, you stop it, David Blaine.
He made his brain say that.
You guys talk amongst yourselves. I gotta check Twitter.
Okay,
I just want to say happy belated Cosmonaut Day for all those in Russia viewing our show. Happy belated Cosmonaut Day. So, celebrating.
Can you say Yuri in Russian accent? Say Yuri.
Yuri Gagarin.
Nice.
It doesn't really.
That sounded like Gilligan. I don't know, but go ahead. Skipper, little buddy. Skipper. Little buddy.
So, this is a fun fact. So, Yuri Gagarin, Russian astronaut, was the first astronaut, first actually human, of X or XY chromosome type, to actually orbit in space. Excuse me, not to orbit in space, but to fly in space. So this actually happened on April 12th in 1961. So that's why April 12th in Russia is Cosmonaut Day. So everyone celebrates Yuri. So the United Nations in 2011 declared April 12th to be International Day of Human Spaceflight. Yay! So that's just a fun day. Everyone can celebrate that. In case you guys missed it yesterday, you can still celebrate it today and tomorrow and the rest of the week because, hey, we like to extend holidays.
Especially a holiday like this because it's super important.
Exactly. It's just like when an asteroid flies by, you want to be looking at it all month because you can.
An asteroid or a comet?
Either or.
Okay. I'm just asking.
So Yuri was the first man to hold a spaceflight record that happened on April 12th, 1961, aboard the Vostok 1 spacecraft. Excuse me if I butchered that Russian word. He spent 100. Hey, you just gotta go for it sometimes. So he spent 108 minutes at a maximum height of 203 miles above Earth's surface. That's pretty much at the border of the end of our atmosphere and the start of space. So he technically was still in space. So the spacecraft. More fun facts. The spacecraft was stocked with 10 days supply in case there was an engine failure, so he could survive while awaiting the natural orbit decay of objects orbiting Earth. So naturally, for instance, when a satellite dies, burns out, it takes 10 days for that satellite to continue orbiting, and naturally it will get sucked to the Earth's surface due to the force of gravity, which is pushing everything towards Earth's core. So, no engines were aboard the spacecraft to slow its re-entry, accelerating towards the land. So Yuri was actually ejected 4 miles above the Earth's surface and parachuted the rest of the way to the Earth. Now, it's unclear whether he landed in the ocean or on land, because the Soviet Union at the time, because they wanted to get the first man flying in space record, actually said that he returned in the Vostok 1 spacecraft when he actually was ejected. So he actually, upon returning home, Yuri was appointed deputy of the Supreme Soviet and commander of the cosmonaut detachment, but later died in March 1968 while testing a jet piloting. So later, a lot of people.
They think it's a conspiracy, by the way.
Yeah. So in 1971, later found out that he did not come back in the spacecraft, the Vostok 1, but he was later ejected out and parachuted. So the Federation Aeronautic International, the FAI, who sets the guidelines for spaceflight records, mandated that the astronaut be aboard the spacecraft upon landing for the record to be official. So that's just a fun fact. So the U.S. actually did it. Because I think it was May 1, 1961, we sent an astronaut, I think it was for like an hour, to fly in space. So there you guys go. Happy Cosmonaut Day.
Wow, I had never heard about the story where he parachuted back. I never heard that.
Yeah, I had never really heard about that too. I did some searching and read that. So hey, it might not be true, but that was something that I read.
For all we know, I thought Node 3 was, Harmony or whatever, and so Ian was right. It is Tranquility, and I was wrong. But I was saying Node 3, which is correct. So I just wanted to go on the record that I'm not completely incompetent. That's all I wanted to say.
Wow, hey, you're still a source. It's okay. You didn't get demoted as a source.
I was crying a little bit.
As long as you keep your weeping internally, it's okay for the show.
Thank you, and off camera.
Rochelle, what are you wearing? What pin are you wearing?
Now he asked, so now I'm going to have to show it off.
Is she wearing a pin?
I am.
She's wearing a pin. Yeah. Well, why is Carolina laughing? Is that NASA? It's a meatball.
Oh, you're going to have to put on mute,
awesome.
dog.
That's an awesome pin. I have one just like it.
Very cool.
It's so cool. It's equally as cool as yours, I must say.
If not cooler. If not cooler.
I don't know if it's cooler. I don't know if it can be cooler. I don't know. It's hard to tell.
I feel like we're missing something else happened this space week, and we're missing it. What are we missing? You know what we're missing? The whole Hawking and.
Oh my God! Yes.
Right?
You're right.
There was something else I knew. Yep.
With Yuri Milner.
With Yuri Milner, who is a billionaire Russian. Go ahead and say Yuri Milner. Go ahead, Carolina. Say it in Russian.
Yuri Milner.
Oh, that's
Yuri Milner.
There we go.
And since you brought it up, Jerome, you can go ahead and take it.
Oh boy, I don't.
Yeah, you opened your mouth. Opened your mouth.
Well, this is what I know, and then you guys can correct me. And if Kurt wants to ask me a question I don't know the answer to, go ahead. So they had this whole presentation where suddenly they're like, "Oh, hey, we're going to announce this program in which this billionaire is going to throw $100 million at this idea, in which they're going to send spacecraft very far away." And it turns out it's going to be a bunch of spacecrafts that are the size of a little microchip. That's pretty cool in itself. And Hawking is all like, yeah, and I'm going to be the one with my name attached to it because he wants to be awesome. So Stephen Hawking was available and was there present at the announcement, and they showed the size, what the little spacecraft would be, and then there was a lot of talk about, well, how is it going to, so they're going to send it, in 2030 something? 2045? Was that the idea? They're going to send these little guys out far away. How far? Come on, Kurt, how far?
I didn't watch any of it because Hawking, isn't he one of the people that said we needed to hide our planet from extraterrestrials? And so now we want to send all this crap out there? I mean, come on.
Exactly right. Well, so here's the thing, and I apologize to everybody that's watching right now and they're pulling their hair out. Why aren't you getting the details? I don't remember where it's going, and I don't remember how far it is, but it's really far. It's like 20 light years, right? They're sending it very far away. It's only going to take, I thought he said 10 years to get there. And then my question was, okay, we can't deal with the Mars delay, let alone the Pluto delay. How are we going to deal with a 20 light year delay to communicate back to us? So there just seems to be a lot of questions that are going on. But the idea is that if we have a very tiny thing and we send it very far away, then that's going to be easier to propel it, which I believe they're going to power it through lasers that are, I just have done very little research on this. I just knew that there was something else that was really big, and it just happened, and that's Rochelle was right. That's what was just announced, and totally forgot to bring it up. Anybody?
But thank God we got Jerome, because you did. You saved the day.
Yeah, basically and we should probably talk about it more later when we have more of the details in front of us, because it's a really cool concept. Oh.
Wait, what was the goal of the mission? Wait, is alien exploration? Is that what I just found?
Kurt brought that up as a sort of a side comment, which is that Hawking and other people are like, we don't want the aliens to know that we're here because that would be bad. Yet Stephen Hawking then gets behind this project in which we're sending a bunch of little things from us very far away. And it just seemed odd that he said one thing and then is associated with another event that's completely in contrast to what he believes.
Got it. I'm just curious what those little things are we sending.
We have pictures, and I forgot to send it to Kurt to have it. But basically, they're very tiny. They go super fast, which is why they can cover the light year distance that they need to cover in a relatively short amount of time. So it's something that we use.
Yeah, so how are we going to get that data back? Yeah, there seems like so many loopholes.
Well, I'm saying everybody's like, oh, well, we can't even deal with the Mars delay. Never mind the whole Pluto delay, and then we're going to leave our solar system and go really far away. And it just seems like that's going to take a long time to get.
That's like going to Andromeda and seeing the black hole over there. Like, hey, what's up, center of Andromeda?
What's up? What's up?
I see you all spiraling over here.
I think they're supposed to be light sail craft, aren't they?
I was going to say that because I remember
I gotta Google it.
Everybody's got to Google it. I brought it up so that everybody can go Google it because it's a pretty neat thing. We should probably send out some tweets that talk about the announcement and where it was coming from. We should also put it in the description down below, Kurt.
Okay, well, hello. I mean, you can send me this stuff. I'll be more than happy to put it there.
Let's not be rude.
Yeah, exactly. Now, you could do it too, Jerome.
Man, now you're ganging up on me. I asked about your pen.
Let's see your little Hubble.
No, okay, thank you.
No, because last time I showed it, you got all upset, and so I'm not going to show it to anybody.
That's because I was trying to give my, speech about Kepler. And you completely just cut me off. So rude.
I do that every time.
I know. And
it's funny to me.
I'm going to interrupt for a second, just because Ian tweeted the answer to Jerome's question. Alpha Centauri in 20 years-ish.
There you go. And when is it supposed to leave? 2035, 2040, 20... I can't remember. All I kept thinking is
Alpha Centauri is our nearest star.
All I kept thinking is that poor Stephen Hawking is going to not be around. Well, and maybe some of us won't be around.
I found a photo of what the project is going to look like.
Isn't it being displayed right now?
In a not human.
Also, Bill Nye was involved with it too, and that's kind of because of the light sail aspect to it, right?
Bill. I owe a lot to that guy. I do.
There was a lot.
Love you, Bill Nye.
A lot was happening in the whole space thing this last 7 days. I mean, it's been really kind of crazy.
It's been a very busy week.
It's been a very busy week, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
space is extremely busy. We think it's been busy. Imagine what's been going on out there, just on its own, just dark matter acceleration.
Don't get deep on us there, Natasha.
I get as deep as I want to.
Back to the menage a trois, and we've come full circle. Whoa! Why are your eyes so wide? That wasn't my fault.
Oh my God!
That was Kurt's fault. That was Kurt's.
I've done nothing.
Don't we know it? Oh, you put the ball up at the net. What am I supposed to do? Not say something?
I just volley it back.
That's what I'll do, Jerome. That's what I'll do right there.
You guys are all fired except for Carolina. She can stay.
Yay!
Yay!
Did you just totally mute me? That was just mean.
Yeti
No.
minne.
Jerome, did you want to
Yes.
talk about your trip to Ames?
Did I not talk about it last time?
No.
I couldn't
think
remember when
so.
it happened. So
No,
Ames was really
you
cool.
didn't.
So I went to Ames with my buddy Todd. Hi Todd. And we went and watched the launch of the Dragon and Falcon 9, and we watched it land. And we were like with a bunch of people, like 350 people or something. So it was very exciting to watch it with a bunch of other people. Probably not as exciting as being there, but we got to watch it with a bunch of people that were sort of in awe, and there was a lot of applause, and it was just really cool. Ames research is being run by NASA now, and I didn't know that. I thought Ames research was run by the Air Force, and maybe I was wrong, but apparently NASA started taking it over relatively recently. It was a cool thing. It was a cool event. There were a lot of people there. We had other people that were set up with tables and whatnot, talking about. I got to see one of the little spheres, the little guys that float around, and you saw Scott Kelly with 2 or 3 of them, and they do some cool things. And I got to actually see one and physically hold it. That was kind of neat. But really cool was the MakerBot that was creating these different landscape textures in which you could see how the rover would handle it. Why are you covering your face? Who's being funny and I don't know about it? Come on, you have to share with the class. You have to share with the class. If you're going to be funny, okay.
No, I'm good. I'm good. Sorry. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
Now you know how it feels when someone's talking and completely.
I do know how it feels now. That was well done, well executed. Ames Research Center. If anybody's in Northern California, you want to check it out, I highly recommend it if you get the opportunity. It was pretty cool.
Very good. All right. Does anybody have anything else?
No, I think
I
I'm
know
done.
there was something
I've
else.
talked enough tonight.
God, yes.
Carolina? Carolina?
Sorry, I had to go back. I got caught up in it's like crazy, this whole thing about Stephen Hawking. Sorry, it's like this giant space probe thing with like a sail. It's like projected with like, whoa.
It's nuts.
Yeah, it's supposed to go like 100 miles an hour or like 100 miles per second. Something like that.
100 miles an hour is not very fast.
Yeah.
Kirk could almost run 100 miles an hour.
Even my little
That's
short
big
legs.
fast.
Yeah.
That's big cat fast.
Yeah.
But
I
did you
hear what
ever
you're saying.
show the Hubble?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
let's see
a bunch
the
of times.
Hubble.
While you were talking, I was showing it a bunch of times while you were talking.
Now we're going to put
We
the
didn't get to
attention.
appreciate
We're
it
gonna
yet.
put it, yes, we're going to put the attention on you. No, seriously though, show us the Hubble. It's a 3D printed Hubble. It's
Ooh,
really freaking
3D.
cool.
Put on your 3D glasses. It looks
Wait,
better.
stop moving it! I want to appreciate it!
I didn't think it was going to be that small.
Oh. Do we have contacts with that comment? Thanks. So the Hubble, that was before Kirk could say anything. So the Hubble floats around, it takes pictures, it does really cool stuff. So this is my first 3D printed thing that I've ever gotten to really look at and play with and have fun with. So you'll excuse my childish excitement.
Do you have a 3D printer?
What if I said yes? Do I look
He
better?
doesn't. He doesn't.
Then I would cry
He doesn't.
out of
He
excitement.
doesn't.
I might buy
Tell
one.
you
You
to
don't
print a
know.
bunch of things.
I had a buddy who printed it up and just totally surprised me with it, and I was just like blown away that he did that. So that was very cool. Thank you,
That
Gary.
is way cool.
But yeah, so it's been kind of an interesting experience to feel the parts and see how they're made and how strong it can be and how brittle and delicate it can be. And yeah, you can understand why they're so excited about having a 3D printer up on the space station because you can see why it's got such huge potential.
It has really, really huge potential.
Yeah, it's neat. It's neat. It's like teleportation, right? It's like you have something, you want to send it someplace. That's effectively what 3D printer is doing. It's recreating something. Yeah.
Potential equals kinetic.
If I could create and 3D print
Energy.
a gag for Rochelle, then that's what I would do. I would make a gag. Yeah, I know. I went there. Oh,
You just need to go to the store for that.
Did you see her act all offended? Oh, dear.
Just Rochelle, say the word. I can make him go away.
Oh, ow!
It was Carolina who said it.
Carolina.
Oh, that's true. We'll still blame Jerome.
I think we've lost all of our audience at this point.
We have 6 stalwart viewers.
Don't tell people.
Nice.
It's like 6 metric.
And this is in 3D.
Oh, we're down to 5. We dropped to 5 people as soon as Jerome put the glasses on.
They're all
damn!
going off to go
They
get
don't
their
like the
3D
3D.
glasses.
They don't like the 3D.
No, there's still. Oh God, Jerome.
Are we going to start doing the 90s dances now?
No,
No.
Yes.
I'm not. I have no room.
Why not? I'm sure you know some sort of country dance.
Oh, you didn't. Just because
Electric slide with me.
Are you
I have a dog in my pickup truck.
making fun of my southern location?
Can I just tell you guys a secret though? In PE, they actually made us learn like line dancing, like the electric slide, like the bootstrap shuffle. Like they made us learn like all those line dances. It was awesome.
I don't even know.
They
what
are
those
so
are.
fun. I don't even either, but it's just line dancing.
I have a
for
friend
PE.
who's totally into the whole square dancing, calling it out, whatever those people are called, the people that, make people do things. I've got a friend who's into it, and it just freaks me out that he's so into it.
No, thank you.
Literally
Nope.
freaked out.
It's not for everyone.
I'll just stick to silly dancing on here.
And speaking of music, if nobody has seen the T-Pain landing on a boat, we're so going to put the link at the bottom in the description. Don't you guys
no,
worry.
We're not.
Oh, that's
no, we're
gonna
not. Not happening.
I gotta Google this now.
Don't worry, it's going to be down in the description.
No,
Yes.
this is a family-friendly-ish kind of sort of
safe
show.
for work, but it's hella funny, and I can say hella, right?
Yeah.
Can we tell Jerome's by himself right now?
What? What's going on?
He's loosened his collar a bit.
Guys, you get a lot of flack for talking about how small Jerome's bubble is.
Oh no! Why is that happening?
You had to bring up the size matters.
I didn't mind it until she held her hands up and she was like, that's the part that was just too far. That was too far, lady.
It's like you're not supposed to point at people and laugh, you know?
It's more interesting.
That's like pointing and laughing.
The 3D glasses make it far more interesting. That's all I'm saying.
No.
It's coming. No.
3D glasses or magnifying
Because
glasses?
it's in your face.
Kurt, could you mute yourself?
No.
I apologize to all the people out there. I don't know what happens, but always towards the end, the ladies start to lose it. We don't even know what's going on. There's way more thrust with the Falcon landing. Way more thrust on the Falcon. Huge thrust. Huge.
Look at you trying to deflect. You're trying to draw Carolina into the all the thrust statement.
Little telescope, large thrust.
Tesla. Wow. Okay,
I mean, how else does it get out there? You know what I mean?
She snorted again. That's like 8. People go back. The trivia question is going to be how many times did you hear snort during the whole broadcast, and you'll win something cool.
We're down to 5 viewers. We're losing people.
Okay.
It's 5 million people. That's what he means. 5 million. Okay, well,
Yes,
Rochelle's got this whole sign-up thing that she likes to do. Should we make her do it?
Yes. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight and sticking around even for the nonsense here at the end. I apologize, but thank you for joining us, because without you, we would be nothing. So just remember to go out, look up, and discover. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.